If it is U.S. policy, Republicans, Democrats, that it supports unified Cameroon, what is the U.S. understanding of unified in the context of Cameroon?
We have been in a lawless state from 1st of October till today. It has been a matter of lawlessness, unconstitutionality, illegality, invalidity from day one till today. And it's going to continue like that until you go back to square one.
Yeah, you know, I hate to pour cold water on anything, but I think it's a fact of life that in geopolitical systems, legalities do not trump geopolitical realities.
Well, let me say this, okay, and I really appreciate you saying that, because I think my Ambazonian people or the people of the Southern Cameroon should hear that and maybe rethink, because that is something. It's so heavily. It heavily influences the thinking of Ambazonians and therefore the solutions that they're looking for. But Mr. Ambassador, if you look at the way the people of Ambazonia have been treated from 1961 until today, I think in 1919 Paul Biya actually admitted in a conference in Paris that they have been on a mission of annexing the people, of assimilating, that's the word he used, of assimilating the people of Southern Cameroon. And through that assimilation, you cannot assimilate the people without destroying their culture, their economy, their institutions. And that's what has been going on. And I'm asking myself, anybody looking at this really should be helping the Ambazonian people to free themselves from that bondage, because that is unacceptable. I have listened to Ambassador Nagys. I have just a few comments to make. He says legality does not trump geopolitical realities. I am not sure I know what his concept of geopolitical reality is. But taking his thesis at face value, it would be a recipe for world chaos. There would be no international law. There would be no rule of law. There will be no law of the United Nations, UN Charter, binding resolutions. There will be no international and regional human rights law. There will be no treaty law. There will be no law of the sea. There will be no law of self-determination. Africa's treaty principle of intangibility of boundaries as of the day of achieving independence would go out of the window. Everything in the world will be decided on the basis of geopolitical considerations, and that would mean white or European, including American, hegemony would be back. Every act, situation, or event would be only as they want it to be. No, that cannot be, because it will mark a return to pristine anarchy. The world will lose its vocation of being an orderly place. I think Nagys ought to have tempered his remarks by saying in certain situations it is probably the case that geopolitical considerations trumps legality, and proceeds to give examples. When Nagys went on to refer to cases like Biafra, South Sudan, etc., you should have reminded him that he is comparing apples with oranges, and that the Ambazonian case is different. Ambazonia and Cameroon have always been two separate and distinct countries. At no time has the territory of Ambazonia ever been part of the territory of Cameroon. The fact that Cameroon annexed Ambazonia and is in armed occupation of Ambazonia does not make Ambazonia part of Cameroon. Cameroon achieved independence from France on 1st January 1960, and by the AU Treaty principle of intangibility of boundaries as of independence, Cameroon's boundaries became frozen on that date, and it cannot claim territory not within its boundaries as of that date. Refusal to accept this principle would lead to complete territorial chaos in Africa. Nigeria, for example, would claim all the 3 northern regions of Cameroon on the basis that they were part of the Sokoto Sultanate in the 19th century. Nigeria would also be able to claim Ambazonia on the reasoning that it was part of Nigeria during British rule up to October 1, 1960. It must be understood that under the Cameroonian Federation, Ambazonia was connected to Cameroon but not part of Cameroon. In a federation, the territory of one federated state does not become the territory of another state. The boundaries of Ambazonia were not determined or fixed by Cameroon. Those boundaries were defined and delineated under international boundary treaties. They remain unchanged to this day. The 1972 official annexation of Ambazonia terminated acquiescence to any connection with Cameroon. There was, and there is therefore, no lawful union or entity from which Ambazonia could be said to be trying to secede. The Ambazonian struggle is a decolonization struggle to free itself from Cameroon colonization, oppression, and spoliation. It has nothing to do with secession because, additionally, it does not affect in any way an inch of the territory of Cameroon as it was on the date of its independence on 1st January 1960. It's not suggesting as a geopolitical reality that Cameroon acquired the territory of Ambazonia in 1961. By what lawful method consistent with international law? Is he also suggesting that as a geopolitical reality, Britain and France reached a secret deal in terms of which they notched Cameroon to seize the territory and people of Ambazonia under the thin guise of so-called reunification? Wouldn't that be a massive slave deal? Slaves have no business accepting their condition of slavery or servitude, but in fact owe it a duty unto themselves to fight and set themselves free. If it is U.S. policy, Republicans, Democrats, that it supports unified Cameroon, what is the U.S. understanding of unified in the context of Cameroon? Given the diversity in human and group nature and the diversity of interests they reflect and pursue, why would Nagys put so much premium on the need for 100% commitment to a single solution? Where does he put the democratic principle of what the majority wants as solution? In every single colonial situation anywhere in the world, there have always been those who see nothing wrong with their colonial situation and so throw their lot with the colonizer. It is the same with slavery. For those kinds of people, morality and responsibility before God and man demand that they be forced to be free.
J'ai ici avec moi la Constitution du 1er février 1961. Cette Constitution qui a instauré l'État fédéral au Cameroun. Cette Constitution dit à l'article 1er, et c'est très bref, la République fédérale du Cameroun est formée à compter du 1er octobre 1961 du territoire de la République du Cameroun, désormais appelé Cameroun oriental, et du territoire du Cameroun oriental, anciennement sous tutelle britannique, désormais appelé Cameroun occidental. Le 1er septembre 1961. Les deux Camerouns ont réalisé leur unité. On a eu un Cameroun oriental et un Cameroun occidental qui ont fédéré pour donner la République fédérale du Cameroun. Les deux Camerouns étaient unis. Et l'article 47 de cette Constitution va sceller cette union en disant ceci, article 47, toute proposition de révision de la présente constitution portant atteinte à l'unité et à l'intégrité de la fédération est irrecevable. L'article 47. Donc ça veut dire que la forme fédérale de l'État du Cameroun ne devait jamais, je dis jamais, être remise en cause. En d'autres termes, le référendum du 20 mai 1972 était un référendum illégal, anticonstitutionnel. Ce référendum a violé la Constitution. Et je suis étonné qu'on choisisse le 20 mai comme un jour de fête de l'unité du Cameroun. L'unité du Cameroun s'est réalisée le 1er septembre 1961. 1972 doit plutôt nous rappeler la date où les francophones ont avalé les anglophones.
The charter says, lead the people to their self-government or independence. There are quite a number of people who do not know that there is a 15-page document explaining the meaning of its joining. Okay. There was going to be a post-plebiscite conference organized by the United Nations. Okay. Question I'm asking you is, has the United Nations organized that post-plebiscite conference? To this day, the answer is no. Fumban conference was neither here nor there. It was an illegal organization. It doesn't conform to this. What this document says, United Nations would convene a conference. United Nations was not at Fumban. Britain was not at Fumban. Page 15. In the event of the Southern and the Northern Cameroon voting in favor of reunification, those entrusted with the responsibility of the affairs of the United Cameroon would, through mutual agreement, specify the manner in which the populations of the two countries would be asked to express their opinion on the federal constitution. So the federal constitution was zero until this opinion is expressed. It's just like the Maastricht Treaty, which was zero together. Unless the people of a country vote, accept it, that is when that country becomes a member of the European Union.
So basically, you're saying that even the federation that was supposed to that existed for 12 years was null and void.
It was not even a federation to start with. They called it Federal Republic of Cameroon, but it wasn't a federation since Ahidjo had the power to appoint and dismiss governments in Buea. A federation, the government of each state manages its own affairs. It is by its own constitution appointed or deposed according to its constitution. That constitution will remain invalid unless it is approved by a referendum of the people of each country. This is what I say. We have been in a lawless state from 1st of October till today. It has been a matter of lawlessness, unconstitutionality, illegality, invalidity from day one till today. And it's going to continue like that until you go back to square one.